Hey everyone, it's the Snaky back again with another video. I am going full on today. I'm not going to be holding back with Undisputed. I think this video has been long enough coming. I've made one video on it before and I was a lot more lenient on the game. And I think that a lot of people online are being quite lenient to the game as well. But this is unfiltered. Today I'm going to be talking about this. And as another YouTuber, Livershot, who's a good channel there, you should check him out. Or Livershot 2.0 says, this game is, as opposed to Undisputed, it's more like unfinished. And it is an unfinished game. And I think the days for the excuses now are finished. The game has had its full release on console, so now we can really start to pick the game apart. And I can tell you wholeheartedly today, if you're someone who's thinking about purchasing this game, think twice and watch my thoughts on it first. Because I've been playing this game since the first public beta. I played both the public betas. Then I purchased the game day one when it became early access. And I was playing it since. And then maybe around, I don't know, 3 months ago, towards the tail end of the early access, I uninstalled the game because I was going through a career mode and it just felt so broken. I couldn't land punches. I leveled my boxer up. I did everything right. I was trying to box. Case in point, Fury here. Like, what the fuck is going on there? It's like that meme. I'll put a picture up of it on the screen where it shows Fury's true shape. But this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. I mean, a AAA game, or supposed AAA game that's releasing, that's supposed to be the best boxing simulation out there. You know, it should be more polished than this. I think everyone will agree with that. So, having played it from day one, I think I'm in a fairly good position to talk about the problems that the game has at the moment. And going straight into the problems, the first problem that you're going to notice is balancing. Balancing is a huge issue in the game at the moment, simply because power shots are so OP. Now, I deliberately try not to throw many power shots here because I want to play the game as realistically, as simulation-based as possible. And you'll see as I go on, you don't technically get rewarded for doing that. If anything, you get punished by the CPU or the AI. The AI in this game on Undisputed is it's one of those games where the difficulty doesn't feel like a genuine difficulty. It feels like a cheap, unfair difficulty. The AI seems to go into this Terminator mode every so often where when it gets you hurt, it just walks you down, absorbs all your best punches, and just basically beats the shit out of you. Basically, there's no other way about it. And that's just not good enough. You can turn the difficulty down, but when I played Fight Night games previously, I always turned them up to the highest difficulty, and I played from day one from that. And I had I had more success playing on some of the older builds of the game, like the I don't know what patch version it was, but if you roll back the clock to last year, I had more success playing the game with some of them because it rewarded you for boxing more. Now the AI just comes forward. You can see Usyk here is just coming forward at me 100%. He's gone into Terminator mode. He's actually hurt me there. And when I get into that position, it's extremely difficult to get out of it because you have that sticky foot movement that happens when you get in close, where it's really, really difficult to get out of the pocket. It's almost like you're walking through muck or mud. You just get completely bogged down and it completely stunts your movement. And with a movement-based character like Fury, who relies a lot on movement, or at least did earlier in mid-career, you want to be able to play like Fury. You want to be able to dance around a bit. And if you're playing as Usyk, I could imagine to be equally as frustrating. And the funny thing is, if I was playing as Usyk here and the computer was playing as Fury, I probably would have been blasted out even earlier because of the long reach that he has. So power shots at the moment are a serious problem, and the AI balancing is a major problem. The issue with it is that we've been told that we're not going to get an update until December. So there's going to be no, small micro updates or any sort of balancing changes until December. And I remember I hate making the comparisons between Fight Night, and some people will say you can't compare the two. They're completely different games. One was developed by a massive studio. The play styles are different. What I would argue is we haven't had a boxing game, a fully fledged boxing game, since 2011. So I think I'm well within my right to compare the two games because they're the only two boxing games that we can compare in over the last decade. So I think it's a fair comparison. But EA were pumping out little balancing changes and little patches for that game in the first. I remember I got the game day one. In the first week or two, there was a crazy number of balance and patches being put out there for both online play and offline play as well. As well as the balancing with the power shots, which is a major issue at the moment, and the AI seeming like it's the Terminator. Stamina is another huge problem. Now you'll see here, I've this set to 8 rounds because, to be quite frankly honest with you, fighting 12 rounds in this game is, I can guarantee you, no matter how conservatively you fight, your stamina will be halfway depleted by the time you're coming into round 10 or 11. I can be fairly confident in saying that. I box extremely conservatively in the game. I don't waste punches. Now you can see here I do throw some bigger combinations, but this is kind of gotten to the point where I've kind of resigned myself to, this is the way that you have to fight. You have to kind of put the AI under some pressure at times, because otherwise it's going to steamroll you. But if you box super competitive or super conservatively, your stamina is still going to drain. And the hilarious thing about it is the PC stamina or the AI stamina doesn't drain at all, which is extremely frustrating because you're doing everything right, but yet the AI still manages to conserve more stamina than you. So that is a huge problem. In fairness to the game, the judging seems to have improved a little bit. I used to get some weird decisions playing against the AI when it was in early access, but normally if you're boxing fairly aggressively and you're landing shots, and they don't even have to be counters anymore, where one time it was all about counters. Yeah, you can see there's the stamina that I'm talking about here now. So Usyk's got 95% and I've got, I think, was that 85 there. So it doesn't make any sense to me really, and especially Fury, because he has traits in this game that allow him to gain stamina, especially later on in the fight. So the stamina is a massive issue. And again, if you're trying to box, if you're boxing conservatively, you probably will have half stamina or less than half stamina left by the time the fight is coming to a close. But if you want to fight anyway aggressively, and you're fighting with more aggressive characters like Marciano or the more classic style boxers, your stamina is going to go down even quicker because you're going to be relying on more hook combinations and power shots. So stamina is a massive issue as well. Now, on the point of glitches and the career mode, I'm currently moving through another career mode, and I have a new boxer created. And again, whether this is a glitch or not, I don't know, but I've won every fight so far. I think I have 10 fights done, and every single one of them has been won by cut stoppage. So, and that never happens to me when I'm playing the AI. So maybe it's just a quirk of the early game, I don't know. But again, if you're a new player, you're somebody who's bought the game on PC, you're in early access, or maybe you're an early access adopter, and now you've bought the full game on the console because you want to play it on your TV. It's not a great look when you go into the career mode, and that's what's happening. Also, I have to say, some of the career mode generated characters look absolutely abysmal. It's so weird. Like the nationalities, where they're from, and their looks just don't match up. I don't want to say they have an uncanny valley look, but they've got almost this weird Play-Doh kind of look to them. It's bizarre. So the character creator, I would say, is not one of its strong points either. Now, these are all minor things. These are things you could overlook if the gameplay itself was just tighter and felt better. And I'm coming on now to probably one of the biggest issues I have with this game. And I've had this issue from day one. And the issue is punch tracking. Punch tracking in this game feels so off. I just can't put into words how off it feels. I made this comparison. I put a Steam review up, and I mentioned this in comments as well on YouTube, on other YouTubers' videos. When you're playing Undisputed, it feels like you're playing with a shitty Bluetooth controller, like the shittiest, cheapest controller you can come across, in the room next door. So you're not even in the same room, or you're ways away from your Bluetooth adapter. There just feels like there's a delay. The punches don't feel like they hit the way they should. There's something that just feels off about throwing punches. And I mean, I've tried both ways. Coming from Fight Night, I tend to use the X and the Y button for throwing jabs and straight rights. And then I use the analog stick for throwing hooks. It's the way I've always played. And it is so hard to get combinations going in this game. You see from the gameplay here, it probably doesn't look too bad. But I'm playing with a highly rated fighter here with Fury, who has a decent accuracy rating. But when you're playing the game, something just feels so off. You don't feel connected to the fighter you're playing. I haven't got a chance to bring my Xbox to my new place yet, but I have been using an emulator to play it through the PS3 emulator, whatever the name of it is. And when you go back to play Fight Night, you just feel instantly in control of the fighter you're fighting as. Punch tracking seems so much better. If you weave out of the way of an opponent, or you pull back and you want to do a jab, straight right hand counter combination, you can do that. You think of it in your head, you press the buttons on the controller, and it does the game does what you ask it to do. With Undisputed, that just doesn't happen. You don't have that same control. And that's what gets frustrating. And when the game isn't rewarding you for boxing the way you should be boxing, then you get frustrated and you start doing daft things. Like you can see here, I've gotten a little bit more aggressive and I get a little bit more sloppy with my boxing. And that's what this game drives you to. I don't know, is that a mechanic in the game? I don't know, is that... I'm sure, actually, that's probably how fighting Usyk feels in real life, because the man's a machine, but you probably just get so frustrated that your strategy goes out the window. But I mean, I don't think that's what the programmers had in mind with the AI when they were doing this. So you can see here at this stage of the fight, Usyk still has 93% stamina and I have 55% stamina. It just baffles the mind. I know in some of the rounds here, if you're watching the footage, you can see that I do get a little bit sloppy with my punch selection and I do throw some wasteful power punches. But ultimately, I shouldn't be penalised that much, because overall I still feel like I'm being fairly conservative. And again, harking back to when I used to play Fight Night Champion, one of my strongest suits of my gameplay was I was actually quite good at stamina conservation. I would pride myself on normally having 3/4 of stamina left by the end of the fight, because I was very careful with my punch selection. I have tried those same strategies here and it just does not work. It is bizarre. But overall, I think that, you know, it's frustrating, because we've been waiting so long for a fighting game, and I think most real boxing fans will tell you the same thing. They'll say that they've waited so long. When I heard Undisputed was coming out and we were getting the public beta and I could finally play this thing, I was so excited, because I thought, wow, now I can actually play as all the current roster of boxers with updated visuals. You know, it's going to be fantastic, and some of the likes of the Riyadh season here, and I was excited for it. And look, on the point of things to like, I have to say the footwork in this game is fantastic. It looks so realistic. It looks so fluid. I can't say the same for the punch animations, but I can say that the presentation of the game, the graphics are quite good. You know, when you've got this game turned up on PC or you're playing on console, it is fantastic. And we can't complain about that. But I just think at the moment, the game is in a real dodgy spot. I think people are turning away from playing it. No updates until December, which means that, you know, we're going to get a massive amount of bulk changes in December. But there's no guarantee that these are actually going to fix any of the issues that we're experiencing. On the point of the career mode as well, if you are buying the game for the career mode, then what you're going to notice is there aren't any training mini games. So if you actually, you know, there's no sparring, you don't hit the heavy bag, and that's 50-50 split. Some people want that stuff, some people don't want it. Personally, myself, I'd like to have the option to do it. You know, if I'm training for a fight, I can do a bit of sparring, and you know, you can introduce things into sparring. You know, with the whole thing about if you are going sparring, you're taking a risk. Are you going to possibly get caught? Are you going to injure yourself? That stuff can still happen when you simulate this stuff, but it's nicer when it happens in real time for the people who really want a simulation experience. I'm just going to come back to the footage here for a minute, because this here you can see the AI going into Terminator mode, like I told you about. Again, only that Fury has decent survival powers here. I probably would have been put away. It is extremely hard to get away from the AI when they go into this mode. They will literally bulldoze you. Once they have you, that's it. And there are some boxers in the game at the moment that seem to be super OP with this. They just walk you down and they finish you, no questions asked. So you can see here, I'm just trying to survive. I'm using my movement. He's cut me here now as well. But it is just, I'm trying to mount a bit of a comeback. But I just feel like the punches that I'm throwing are doing absolutely no damage whatsoever. And that is a huge issue. If you feel like you're getting nowhere and you're not able to damage your opponent, the whole fun goes out of the game. Boxing is a risky sport. When you make decisions in boxing, when you decide to commit to a big punch and you miss, or your opponent counters you, or you counter the AI, you should feel like you're actually getting rewarded for that, whereas you don't in this game. In this game, you just feel like it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and that comparison gets brought up all the time. People are talking, oh, it's, you know, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the game. And it really does feel like that, because you could be standing there trading with your opponent, and neither one of you are going down, although it's usually you that ends up going down. And it looks like me, I'm going to go down here, because you can see my stamina now has depleted to the point where my footwork is gone. So I'm in that slow footwork. And you can see here Usyk is just absolutely piling it on. And it's a shame, because when things like this happen, again, with the footwork and the way Fury is moving around, this looks quite good. It looks impressive. But the gameplay doesn't match the visual presentation of the game. So here we are at the moment. We're in round 7 now. And I've kind of exhausted everything that I have to talk about. So I'm going to fast forward the footage here on a little bit to the last round. Usyk puts me down here, I'm pretty sure, twice, and I recover from it, and I get the decision at the end here, as you can see. So I'll put up some kind of I was going to call it a montage, a little split up section of that. But that's my thoughts on Undisputed, guys. My advice to you at the current juncture is, don't buy it. I don't think it's worth giving the developers your money at the moment. I think that more time needs to go into the game. Even simple things like the additional boxers being added. I would even say don't add any more boxers. Don't work on any more presentation. The presentation of the game. Focus on getting the gameplay down. Focus on the punch tracking. Making the punches actually, when you throw a punch, to feel like it's going to connect if you've done everything right. If you've put yourself in the right position, you're in range, your punch should be connecting. Focus on getting the stamina issues sorted out. The AI should not have 95% stamina left at the end of the fight, whereas you're completely worn down. And get those overpowered power punches out of the game. Balance them up. Have some sort of a penalty for throwing massive power punches. And reward combinations. If you're hitting your opponent with a 6-punch combination, it shouldn't feel like that you're hitting them with cotton wool gloves. It should feel like they're impactful. It should feel like it's doing some fucking damage. That's what you want. It's a boxing game. It's about damage. It's about physicality. It's about the visceral feel of throwing the punches. And if they can manage to fix those things, maybe you might have some manufacturer of a game mid next year. Who knows? But at the current, with the way things are currently, I think this game is going to be going back on my uninstall list again, and I'll probably be waiting for EA's announcement of their new fighting game, which hopefully we get in the next year or two. But that'll be up to the boxing gods, the game boxing gods. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and hope you've valued my opinions on this. If you have your own opinions and you want to ask me anything, or you've got any points that you want to raise, put them in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.